Got it. This meeting is being live streamed. Trace, you want to verify and validate on YouTube whether you see me, please? And let's see.
I do. Yes, it's playing.
You got a flag there. Okay, I got to do something about that flag. I'll do it after the show. All right. So, question number one: what is VIP membership? And so, what I am going to do is record these locally and record this to YouTube. So let me close that so I'm not looking at my face over there. Hey, by the way, we just shot off a video on TikTok on proving how CNN is lying about the fantasy of the Sound of Freedom being not true, and that it's hyper inflated and all those things. And I basically took them to the FBI website and I showed the numbers of how many perpetrators are in the country. There's over 15 million sexual perpetrators in the United States. I showed them that, and then I showed them the stats on missing kids on the FBI website, and then I showed them where the video was on our website where people can watch a longer extended version. And for the first time, I loaded it up on TikTok, and TikTok shared it like 100 times within 20 minutes. I've never used TikTok, so we're obviously trying to get that information out to people so that they know it's a real thing, which is important to me. Okay, so first, I am, Harold, jamming over to what is included in the VIP membership. And it's important, Harold, if you're going to go into living in the private, you need the VIP membership anyway. Living in the private's really an extensive program because we sign we do a lot of documents for you. And we also create structure that allows for you to operate 100% in the private outside of quote unquote IRS code or Canadian equivalent. Now, I have no idea what the Canadian code is, but I will tell you the general element of subject matter jurisdiction. If something is private, not public, unregistered, like a foundation, you're golden. We could even show you how to use your Canadian passport to get an American account or an Australian account where you can operate your foundation from outside of the jurisdiction of Canada if we can't find those loopholes, allowing for you to bring passive revenue through 100% tax-free. And that's just one of the things that we do within the Living in the Private program. So the VIP membership benefits page is right here. I'm going to put it in the comments. That's what we offer, and it's an exclusive member. We've had members in the VIP since day one, since 2012, loyal members that love us and love what we teach, and I appreciate them. And this is the foundation of what we support. So let me record this. So people ask what is included in the VIP right now. We are doing the state citizenship passport application, or quote unquote Canadian equivalent, which is we're going to give it to you in a United States app, and you're going to have to convert it to your Canadian application. Now, how is that going to work? We need to find out and I'll get into it with you a little bit more on a private side, like what is the equivalent of the state citizen in Canada? Because I guarantee under our public law, under our Supreme Courts, those things exist. And corporations only have jurisdiction over people that are employees. And so we're going to have to find that element for you within Canada, or you're going to have to kind of dig some of that stuff up. But you can look at how we cancel contracts, and that would be number one, advantageous and a big benefit. How we do it here, because I'm sure it's the same way up there. But we support people that have a VIP membership get their passport processed here in America as a state citizen. We ask that they keep it for about a year. Right now, it takes about 6 months. Literally, the Department of State at a minimum of 6 months, 4 months if you're lucky. and sometimes a little bit longer to get and run through a passport application, especially as a state citizen, because they bounce back and forth with, no, you're not allowed to do this. No, this doesn't exist. No, you got to put your social. No, you got to do this. And we write all the rebuttal letters for the people here in the United States of America and help them get a passport as an American, not as a United States citizen. And that's super important that people start wrapping their mind around. You can access our VIP show. I do it about every 2 weeks. Plus, we have hundreds of exclusive content, VIP shows from the past that you should be resonating on, focusing on, looking into. We have a living in the private back end of our website that people get access to, and they're starting to able to share information, documents, and go and dig. And we have thousands and thousands of books and stuff for people to read. Now, I'm going to tell you, the best way to have relationship with this ministry isn't to try to dig in and figure out the website, because the website is a massive data dump. And we're organizing, we're getting it better. We're starting to work out things that will be able to onboard. If you are interested in onboarding on as a VIP member for the state citizenship passport, just give us a call, toll free, 844-447-2386. And that actually, the number stands for 844 HISadvo. And then just dial extension 2 and we'll answer, and we'll start taking your information down, and we'll give you some links, create a support topic for you, show you how to sign up on VIP, and show you any information you want on the living in the private program. We respond to VIP members fast on their support topics or tickets. And what we discuss and what we support on is vast. In the next coming years, we're going to have enforcement like you've never seen before for people that are going or where a corporation is trying to get them to get forced to do something in your arm. We're going to be having that opportunity to write a response. Like right now, our responses are super strong. We're just getting them together collectively, working through and trying to figure out how to get them out to the public and get them ready for the next wave that they're bringing. And yes, it's already been discussed. And they had another event, 201, in November, and they're planning for another event. So we got to be ready, got to be healthy, got to have an opportunity to have enforcement. That's all stuff that we're going to be dealing with the VIP members. We give you guys a private line that you can dial into if you need questions, emergency issues. We allow you to view 100% of the entire website, and that's just ridiculous on how much information is there. And access to an extensive knowledge base. We do a town hall meeting every 2 weeks. I'm actually going to start a book club with the VIP members where I read a book and we discuss it together, and it's the stuff and the information that got me to cross that bridge over. So that's what's included in a VIP membership. I would encourage anybody right now, because it's changed. You normally would have to pay $5.98 for a passport app. Today it's included in the VIP membership, and we're willing to help anybody out to become a state citizen, and the passport app is the start. So that's it. All right. If we have any questions, guys, do me a favor and post your questions in the Q&A. There's a button on the bottom left. And I'm going to ask Rob to dump the most common questions in the wire. And same with Tracy, if you can dump it in wire. That people have that are where there's ambiguity, where it's not clear 100% of the time, where they don't understand a certain element. I do want to say one of the number one things that we have an issue with, and it's about every third or fourth person, is they don't read instructions and they don't follow instructions. And I'm just going to say this to you guys: when you get docs from us, this is the most important thing you are ever going to do in your life. The documentation process of our documents is fundamentally critical. Example: you get your passport documents, your explanatory statements, you go get them notarized. You have to make a complete photocopy of that notarization and everything before you submit the documents. Critical. You got to start creating your file where you have responses. You got to make sure every response is loaded up on your ticket. Some people will get a response and hold them for 2 months. And we're like, what are you doing? They're like, oh, I thought you got it. Why would you think we get it? You applied. This is on you. Comes to your mailbox. Why do you think we got it? And they go, oh, I'm sorry, or whatever it is. And they load up the document. So this is where it's critical, because this is life-changing. This is your freedom. You can't, I mean, there's some things that we can correct the record with, but I'm begging you to read the instructions 2 or 3 times that come with each document and start following the instructions, because that is super important. Now, there's no easy way to get through the living in the private program, except when you hire a service like us. And it's because we have coordinated all of our documents to fit each contract that you have. And if anybody understands subject matter jurisdiction, a warrant or an indictment, the reason why our living in the private program is kind of like a bulletproof, like wearing a Kevlar vest, the fattest one possible, the best technology and the best protection. The reason why it is like that is when you look at a warrant or indictment and you understand the mechanics of how they gain subject matter jurisdiction, it's critical that you realize this. The living in the private program reverse engineered warrants and indictments and created a process that allows you to live in the private and to be completely exclusive under God, which is what a state of the union citizen is. And that takes going through all your major and minor adhesion contracts. It takes an understanding of registration and how you can move paid for vehicles into private foundation, asset protection 101, how you can move a house where you are a joint tenant. People don't realize this. I'm a real estate broker by trade. I've done thousands of loans. I've left that business in 2008. There's a lot of fraud in that business because there's no loan being given. And I don't want to get into that with you guys, but the title's the bigger fraud than the loan, the title. You know, you go look at old titles and you have meets and bounds. That's the land. It's not a legal description. Okay. Legal description is federal territory. It's a trademark federal territory. So when you are taking and using Federal Reserve notes, you're recording something in your all caps name. That's the birth certificate that they own. And you are be saying, yes, I am a tenant, and you're using, you know, all the elements of everything on that deed that makes the home the state's. Well, I went down to a county recorder and I figured out I can record anything, any style, any way I want. It's my deed. And so we do by gold, by hand, meets and bounds. We record it in a foundation's name. I know I'm missing something. Bottom line is we privately affect the house, the property, the land. And that is the way to understand that our living in the private program not just deals with you, it deals with your assets, your bank accounts, your home, your other assets. We have people that are bringing literally millions and millions and millions of dollars in assets to the table and asking for help. And we're 100% supporting them all the way through them personally, and they're living in the private program experience to be a state citizen. And then the other stuff, you know, all the stuff that's currently out there and under the control of the corporate United States. And there's nothing illegal, there's nothing unlawful, there's nothing that's vaguely irresponsible. This is just simply the law. And my next couple of videos this week, I'm going to be showing all of the case law supporting state citizenship. You guys are going to be blown away. It's going to absolutely excite people because it's not national. It's not national of the United States. It's not state national. It's not American national, because all of those under 8 USC 1101A21 mean you are a product of the United States. You are saying you are in territory. All of those are tricks. And I've talked about that in other videos. All right. Do we have any questions at this moment?
Well, on YouTube you do, but
I do.
well, at least one out there, yeah.
Well, what's the question, Trace? What are you waiting for? Hold on.
You want me to?
What's the question, Trace?
Okay, so this question and this from over on YouTube is, are you affiliated with the States Assembly? If so, are you the assembly person for California?
Trace, you can answer that.
No.
The answer is no. I'm not affiliated with them, but anybody that wants to be an American, state citizenship, I very much would love to support that element. The state assemblies in California, we go to hisadvocates.org, click a support topic, will give you the person that heads it up. They understand about state citizenship. People are struggling between the elements of being an American national and being a state citizen. And people think that you can just write, let me say it to you this way. Can you go and buy a car and then just write an affidavit and get out of the contract? No. Can you go and buy a house, write an affidavit and get out of that contract? No. Can you go and get a social security number and become an office holder of that particular employmentship with the United States? That's what it is. And then just write an affidavit over here and publish it in a county recorder and then get out of that contract? The answer is no. And I know I'm being funny, but I really want to get this thing nailed down, because that is what people are doing when they're using these other American national processes where it's $35 to $75 and they give you an affidavit that says American national, American national, American national, all the way through the 15 pages of the affidavit. And then they show you supporting case law, state citizen, state citizen, state citizen. So why are you making allegiance to 8 USC 1101A21, which is a product of the state? I've proven this in the past, not going to do it again right now. Why do you make allegiance? So when you're going to these assemblies, understand something. Here's what you're dealing with. I went through it myself from 2007 to present day. When you're going through these assemblies, here's what you're dealing with. A bunch of complaining United States citizens who are double-minded, lukewarm, one fence in, one fence out, 1 foot in, 1 foot out. That's not to put down their efforts. I was the same way. I thought American national was the closest to state citizenship. I am now teaching something totally different. I was hook, line, and sinker by the United States government on those terms. I thought I could write affidavits and do this and that. No, 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 no. The only way to get out of contracts, which we do for you, with you, in the living in the private program, is to quit these employment ships, these trusts, because that's what they are. They're adhesion trusts. There's the bank's not, it's like one idea or one way to think about this is Social Security Administration is not signing on your SS5 form. They're not countersigning. DMV is not countersigning. The voters registration is not countersigning. The IRS definitely doesn't countersign. Everything you do is self-executing yourself into the position of a taxpayer, into a U.S. corporate surety, into being a U.S. citizen, and people don't realize that. So what we do is we use an administrative process. Well, first we get passports as state citizens. Second, we use an administrative process whereby we restructure the agreements with all those people, and we do a fault and a default. And that's a fact in law of a properly affected defaulted administrative process that could be brought into any federal court case and summary judgment granted, or subject matter jurisdiction denied. And so this is very important for people to understand. It's like much like they did with the UFOs, the conspiracy that they all now are saying is real, much like they did with those UFOs and reverse engineered, we did the same thing with all the things that they gained control over people with and gain control of your stuff. We completely structure you up so everything you have and everything you control now is under your protection with the fattest Kevlar you can possibly own and the most technology. And I'm going to tell you right now, no complaints at HISadvocates. We've been doing this 13 years. I am a businessman by trade, but I have a ministerial heart now trying to free people. I want to free you spiritually first. I'm going to be honest. I do believe in Yeshua. I believe there's only one way. I'm being frank with you right now. But the reality is, if you're going to be a state citizen and you're going to come into this ministry, you need to know what you're making allegiance to. You're saying, God, you're king, you're sovereign, because that's exactly what the Declaration of Independence says. And so when we start to grasp onto state citizenship and why we have freedom, where God gives us unalienable rights as that state of the union citizen, is because we've quit everything over here that takes away our God-given unalienable rights. And any country can quit the corporations and do the same thing. All right. Any next questions? What's up, Mr. Parker? What are you doing? Mr. Larson, how you doing, sir? Did you get all those links I gave you? All right. So we got another question on the comments. I didn't see it. Give me a sec. So what do you think about the Republic of Texas effort where they believe that Texans never voted properly to enter the Union, so they reverted to an independent country? Sandy, that's a great question. There's probably a lot of validity. I have not studied that specifically. There's probably a lot of validity to some of these conspiratorial claims, like the amendment where it was passed that an attorney could not, with a bar card, could not hold a political office position. That was passed, and then somehow eradicated. The 14th Amendment was not properly passed. That's straight up knowledge, but it was the First Amendment for the corporation. And how they get around these things is because the people sat down in 1861, and then in 1871, the corporation stood up. Corporation always existed, but the corporation was there to restrain the federal government from the people's God-given unalienable rights, and to make sure that they were upheld. But when people become United States corporate citizens, they don't any longer have access to the Bill of Rights protections. So to answer your question specifically, there's probably a lot of validity to it. But at the same time, that perception that they are a party to this country, I don't think the United States corporation, being that they have not kowtowed to the Republic did stand up at large. The the entire Republic for the United States of America stood up at large, is re-inhabited. And the response from the federal government was to put the Republic for the United States of America on the domestic terrorist watch list as the #1 in domestic terrorism, even though there was never a single incident of hatred, violence, or anything. And they started putting all the sovereign citizen group of people underneath the Republic and made the Republic the leader. And then they went to local law enforcement throughout the country, training them that the Republic for the United States is evil. And there were a bunch of federal law enforcement haters and we want to kill them. And all of that is a lie. We actually quite are much like the Texans. We love this nation more than anything. Texas, as far as I am concerned, and the people of the Republic of Texas, they don't have to, but we were first in line, first in time. There was, I believe, a body of people from within Texas that came and met up with the Republic de jure in 2012 when we did re-inhabit the Republic. And that means we've accepted Texas as a part of the Republic. And that means Texas has an opportunity now to be a part of the protections of the Republic, which quite honestly are not very much right now. We believe that there's a lot of background and a lot of good going on in military that we don't see. We believe that there's things that are going to happen. I believe the Republic will be brought forward in the next year to 2 years. And I've been pretty right about a lot of things. There's really not a whole lot of other choices. When the UN lands on our soil and tries to indicate that they want a new world order, because some leader that came out of the sky from a holographic image, much like Jesus, is it now able to perform miracles? I think we're going to be saying no, and we're going to be fighting for the freedom of our nation, and we're going to be fighting back against this tyranny for the first time. I think when people understand what Christianity truly is and understand how we need to be standing up against tyranny, and we need to be standing up against godless acts of violence against innocents. And that's really what they're doing. You know, everything that they want to project onto the people is what they are themselves right now. And like I did, and I know this is an extended answer, but the element of the people starting to realize the tyranny levels in this nation. It's just, you know, starting with the laptop of Hunter Biden, him getting a slap on the hand, IRS charge and release, and he's at the White House hanging out with daddy that night, or whoever that guy is. I think we have a reality check because just like on my video that's airing tonight on YouTube at 6 p.m., it's a very short video, but I confirm that CNN is flat out lying. And all I had to do was use the government websites to confirm that there's 15 million pedophiles, 6 million active missing kids, 500,000 kids a year disappearing every year. And yes, it's not sensationalism, it's a fact, and it's posted right there on these people's websites. And there's a serious issue. Like that movie Sound of Freedom that just came out. It's like that group has only saved 1,000 kids. That's 5,999,900. You understand what I'm saying? There's a lot of kids underground still missing that we need to be attacking. But going back to your question, I'd have to study that. But I do know the 14th Amendment was adopted by the corporation, not by the people. And I know that on house.gov, you can look at the Constitution. They bracketed out the first 10 amendments on the Bill of Rights. And it's very interesting. There's only like 1 or 2 pages and they keep switching it. I basically got a screenshot and PDF'd it and pulled it down, and I was blown away. I'm like, why are the first 10 amendments bracketed? Well, there's that theory of 2 constitutions, one for the corporation and one for the de jure original people. And there's somewhat some truth to that, but the reality is it's only truth in that they're the same, except the corporation adopted at a period in time and started its own amendments for itself and then bracketed out the ones for the people. So they do everything right there out in the open and show you what their intent is. And if you don't understand these things in law, you don't understand what brackets mean. It's kind of hard to see through to their devious ways. I know, Sandy, super long answer. Sorry. Awesome, David. Thank you. So Republic of Texas stood back up in 1995. No one from Russo talked to the Republic of Texas in 2012. There might have been, I'd have to look at I have all the data. I'd have to look and see who showed up. And so, Sandy, the Republic of Texas is the people of Texas that were born on Texas. And I don't care who stood up and came to and operated an assembly and sat back down under the de jure republic. I will say that your chances of living out, because my understanding is the Texas Constitution is the only one that allows for Texas to come out of the republic. And if that is the facts, then the Republic people can do whatever they want to do in Texas. But we stand together strong. We stand a lot more strong together than we do individually and separated. And the Republic of Texas is separate than the state of Texas. And as you well know, the state of Texas and the United States Corporation have not stood down as they are lawfully required to. So there are Supreme Court rulings, Shelby versus Norton County, when a de jure anything exists, grand jury, municipality, Congress, the de facto corporation lookalike must go away. That's a Supreme Court ruling, 1876. So the Republic of Texas can do whatever they want to do. It's your country, if you wish. We do stand stronger together. And there was about 25,000 people that re-inhabited the whole of the Republic. And it was so important that they came after the leadership, including myself in many different respects, and wiped out many of the leadership and went after and did investigations, had John Walsh call me, trying to throw me and his advocates and the Republic under the bus. And I basically handled that with a 15-minute speech advising them I am recording, and then if you're more than welcome to use all of my speech, but you can't pull portions out and pick which you wish. It has to be 100% of my speech. And I laid out the fact that the FBI is in collusion with these corporations to keep the United States corporation afloat, and they're not operating in accordance to Supreme Court rulings, allowing for the state citizens and the states to actively be under control of this great nation. And the Civil War was never about freeing Black people. I hate to say that. It just wasn't. That was the art behind everything after it all fell. The element of granting the ability of freedom to Black people was for everybody. It wasn't just the Black people. It was to create citizens, lowercase citizens, from the 14th Amendment on, coming under the corporation as an employee of the corporation. And they didn't get everybody until 1933, 34, 35 through the Social Security Administrative Act. And that's really when they got everybody and brought everybody on. They had to make a big thing in law, make it look like we're going to do this great emancipation, this great process to free Black people. And then everybody stepped in and said, I want some of that. And done by trickery through the 14th Amendment. And so it's I listened to Civil War generals talk about what the Civil War was about. And it was about state rights. It had nothing to do with the freedom of Black people. It was about state rights and the stepping on the state rights by the North, and so on. So, and really one of the first was Abraham Lincoln's Field Order number 100, when because he didn't have controlling interest of a congressional vote, because the states had seceded from the Union and formed a confederation and a new country in their mind, and they created new docks and new everything. And so that's why the war went on. Is there was the states were worried about state rights. They had nothing to do with their right to keep a Black person as a slave. And so that was the front used, and the back end element of Black people becoming free started to trend in that direction after the 14th Amendment, and that they had their rights, but obviously they were bound and had issues with just walking away. And over the next 60 years, the entire country became enslaved under the 14th Amendment when they became employees of that corporation. The United States is a federal corporation, UCC 307H. The United States is the fact that it's that's the jurisdiction of the United States, UCC 307H. Its exclusive jurisdiction is in the District of Columbia. Title 28, subsection 3002 is the United States as a corporation. And then, so when you look at that, the Title 28, and you look at US Code and UCC, and it all says it's in the District of Columbia. Well, where's the United States of America? It's border to border. And the United States only controls the areas in which are conveyed to it by the states. And one of the elements of what a state is, it's a real living man or woman. It's a state of being. So when you look at the definition of state in Black's law, one is a body of people, lowercase definition state. So the state citizen is a body of people. And you look at the capital version of state, and it's the community of persons. Birth certificates, literally, because Rundle versus Delaware, a corporation cannot do business with a living man. So this corporation has your birth certificates, where the mother gave the live born record, the true title, over to the state. The state then puts it on 32-pound watermark banknote paper, makes you you make yourself a parent and informant on that contract, meaning a judicially decreed guardian is what you're saying you are when you sign a live born record. And a state creates a birth certificate, puts it in the public for somebody to make a claim. Nobody makes a claim. State's now the owner of the birth certificate. Now you take that birth certificate and go get a driver's, a social, and you become and get all these employment adhesion trusts. And you say, yeah, I agree to all of it, man. I want the benefits. And those benefits are saying you're the surety, you're the liability, or the liably, you're the collateral for the debt of a defunct fallen corporation. And China wants you. China's coming after you right now. This is why coming out is the most critical thing. This is why they created the chips. This is why they're doing what they're doing, because they can turn you as a man into a synthetic hybrid by doing this. And I know people don't want to believe that. This isn't the show to talk about it on, obviously being live where I'm live. But that's what's happening. And the Supreme Court's already ruled on that, and what is allowable under somebody who's had their DNA changed or altered through mRNA. Now that person is patentable by Pfizer. That's not conspiracy. That's a fact in the law, and the Supreme Court has already ruled on it. I pulled that up, read it myself. And then you go over on the other side. Now they're spraying, they're doing whatever they can to get as much of this product in us as they can to ultimately say, here's your chip. And it happens to be Microsoft chip number 060606 on Patent Scope. So go to hisadvocates.org, go to the search bar, type 666, and we will show you the patent. That patent basically says exactly what the Bible says, that you will not be able to buy, sell, or trade unless you have this chip. And that's what the patent says. And you're no longer owner of your own body if you're going out and getting all these things put into you. And so these are the things that we have to realize. For us, we fail for lack of knowledge. So I want to handle jurisdiction first. I want to get spiritually people right, understanding that all that stuff that has been playing out in this Bible right here, this one, all of this is coming true. And it's playing like an exact symphony. It is 100% correct. Written thousands of years ago. And here we are, we're here. So get right spiritually, get jurisdictionally right, because that's what the Bible says. He's talking to his believers, Revelations 18:4, come out of her, my people. That means stop funding the whore. Stop it. You're contributing. We can show you how, where you can keep where you are at. And we can't guarantee the employer is going to stop taking federal taxes out, but we can show you where you can come in under as a W-8-BEN and remove the element of taxation with your existing employer, and where you can do enforcement things to force their hand. Now, does that mean they're going to like you and want to keep you forever because you're fighting them on the V, you're fighting them on taxation, you're fighting them on everything? I don't know. All I know is I don't want to fund the whore. I don't want to partake in the 30 trillion that has gone missing over the last 22 years since 9/11. I don't want to partake in what that 30 trillion is doing. I don't. I want to be completely out without responsibility. Again, start with Revelations 18:14, talking to his people. This is critical to understand because it's all coming to light and they're playing us. And it's okay, but they're playing us. At least we've got a handbook with knowledge and understanding of how to not partake in the judgments of partaking with the whore. 2 cents. Oh, I didn't record that individually. I have to pull that one out later.
You have questions on YouTube, and you also have your 5 o'clock. So you got to get a move.
What?
You have questions on YouTube, but you also have your 5 o'clock. So you got to get a move on.
Got to get a move on.
Yes.
Tracy's being my boss man right now. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna start bottom up. Why is the IRS located in Puerto Rico? Well, first off, they're located everywhere, but I would agree their headquarters, or at least one of them, is in the Puerto Rican island. I don't know. I would think that because it's a product of the United States and independent of the United States, there are things and parameters that you are able to do in Puerto Rico that you cannot do in the United States of America. That's my best guess. I speak truth, brother. Thank you, Cindy. They can kill you on demand like tin foil in a microwave. I rebuke that in the name of Jesus. I'm doing a metal detox. But yeah, I worry about those 5G towers too. Hi, Kelly, do you have access to the de facto in the U.S. Constitution? I do. They're both the same, except one on house.gov has brackets around the articles, and I could show that to you. I can't post it right now. It's my treasure trough of data is 4 terabytes, and I don't know where it all is. And it's not something I can word search because it's a PDF. And it's not one of those PDFs that's been edited to where it'll find those words. But I'll look. Such thing as there is no such thing as a United States citizen. Ex parte, Frank Knowles 5. I will agree to disagree. The only place I see to post questionnaires on YouTube, Zoom, link, how do we bridge the gap? How do we get others to accept definitions rather than the IRS, et cetera? How do we bridge the gap with what, Sonny? Maybe I should start from the top down. Why is it then when we filling out for passport, we don't use the SSN, but in the first rebuttal letter does have it? Great question. Okay. Somebody asked a pretty good question. Why is it in the original application we don't use the social security number, but in one of the rebuttal letters we do? Because in the rebuttal letter, we are very clear that that social security number belongs to the registered organization by assignment and not you. In every one of our documents, it's clearly saying to them that we are no longer the surety of that registered organization, but we are the beneficial interest of, because it's our live born record. So understanding the difference in law is the most critical function. Is when you are operating as the surety on an application and you're signing as the surety on the application, you are the surety on the application. So the original DS-11, we properly affix everything and make our allegiance to the declaration as a state citizen. They want to come back and play games. Well, they don't say this, but the registered organization has a social security number. Do you mind telling us what it is? And then we respond, well, yes, the registered organization does have a social security number, and this is what it is. And we don't take any allegiance to the registered organization. We're making allegiance to the Declaration of Independence, and we're removing ourselves from a jurisdictional position to being under the authority and control of them through restructuring all of those agreements, that we are no longer the trustee, but we are the beneficial interest on. Because look, on the DMV, if you don't have a driver's license in your wallet currently today, and an officer is going to pull you over and treat you how? It's going to make it difficult. There are people that do not get hassled for having no license because they've gone through the gamut with their courts and local communities and law enforcement. Just leave them alone. And we also have people that have success just handing a passport card to a law enforcement officer and they let them go. We've had, I've only heard of one person get arrested, and it happens to be a close friend of mine. They dropped everything. They tried to get him to get a driver's license. He said, no, thank you. See, there is no jurisdiction if you handle the DMV contract. There is no jurisdiction if you handle the Social Security contract. So it's not why are we putting something on, it's how are we contracting with them and what are we showing them that is the truth. And this is why our system works, is we're dealing in the very trust elements that they dealt with you in. So it's not breaking contracts, it's restructuring agreements so that the human being, or the man, I don't like the word human being, is no longer contracted with them, and the man is now the beneficial interest and going to hold the license in his wallet on behalf of the registered organization. That's the bottom line of what is taking place across the board. I hope that helps. And no offense, I do have and so Tracy, they did confirm.
They did confirm the 5 o'clock, but I will let them, just so you can complete the YouTube questions, I will let them know that we'll be running a little bit over and they'll be okay with that.
Maybe she already logged in. I just got an email. How long does it take to get through the passport process? Okay. I answered this question in a previous statement. The average time frame to get through a passport process right now is about 5 to 7 months as a state citizen. The responses are very slow, even if you're not trying to do it as a state citizen. Department of State is backed up. But that's conservative.
Did you really mean to say 5 or 7 months? Because I thought it was like 13 weeks for a passport.
I'm being conservative.
Real
Putting
conservative.
information out so people don't flip out when it doesn't happen.
Okay.
You know how it is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I think I got through. And you start log these guys. I think I got through. PR is the oldest colony anywhere in the world. Puerto Rico is strategically set in a way where they can use it for war, used to have all the military branches set throughout the whole island. Okay, nothing else over here. 13 weeks minimum. Thank you, Rob. Need a passport. God, if God created us. Okay, that's it. God bless you guys. Every 2 weeks, we do a Q&A where we answer questions for existing living in the private. I see many existing living in the private members, and new potential living in the private members. We also, people that come into the program, they get a support topic, phone number, complete support. And for whatever reason, people don't know, but there is code within the IRS that allows you to revoke the election to pay taxes to the IRS. There's code within the SSA, Social Security Administration, that allows you to revoke the contracts. But even with that code, we don't sit there and hang our hat on those elections, or as if we can't cancel an agreement with them for fraud and the fact and for many different elements. The IRS is the most ridiculous. There is no valid proof that there is a public law that was passed forcing people to pay taxes, even United States citizens. Now, what do they do to prove it? Arrest people and throw them in the pen, put a bunch of attorneys on them, get judges to revoke their ability to stand in court for themselves. And then there's people that have the ability to fight, know how to fight and win their cases. And there's many cases that prove you do not have to pay taxes to the IRS as a United States citizen. Well, as a state citizen, you're not even in their jurisdiction. That's the difference. God bless you guys. I got to jump on a new Zoom right now with a potential client. I appreciate you. We love you guys. Join us at hisadvocates.org. Get the word out. State citizen, not American national, not national. Not state national, all tricks of the federal government. By the way, I'm doing a video on how Bitcoin is a NSA, not NASA, NSA PSYOP. Bitcoin. We found who